Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we are going to discuss about dimension in Business Builder in SAP Datasphere. What are its features and what is the usage of dimension? So if you are already working with data or a data analytics, you already know that what is the need of the dimension. But let me quickly brief it. So, in SAP Datasphere, specifically within the context of Business Builder functionality, dimensions likely to refer to key aspects or attributes used to categorize and analyze the data. These dimensions are crucial for organizing and understanding the data, especially in the context of business intelligence and analytics. Okay, so this is a very brief about dimension. So, what is dimension? So, for example, if I would say that for a particular company code or for a particular organization, the net income is around 2 million USD. Now, if the company operates in multiple region, the question we also need to analyze that uh, how much income is coming from each region. So that region is a dimension which tells you more information about the net income with respect to region. So region is dimension. Similarly, you can also view data based on a profit center, a cost center, or fiscal year period, like over the period of time what is the income, how much income or how much revenue we generated in January, in February. So whatever whatever object or the business entity tells the information about about what has happened, why it has happened. So those kind of questions can be answered when we have the information about the dimension. It defines the granularity of the data as well. Okay, so the more the dimensions we have in our model, the more will be the granularity. The less the dimension we will have in our model, the less will be the granularity or the count of the data. So, what are the usage of dimensions in Business Builder? So, it is used for organizing data. Dimension serves as the framework for organizing data, providing a structured way to categorize and group informations. Okay, then analyzing the data. So, dimension enables user to analyze data from various perspectives. By slicing and dicing data along different dimensions, users can gain insight into different aspects of the business performance. Then drill down into data. So dimension often have hierarchical structures that allows users to drill down into more granular level of details. So we also use hierarchies in our data analytic field many of the times. And how hierarchies help us is like drilling down to the several levels. So let's suppose overall revenue is 2 million. Now when we drill down, we got the region wise. Then again when we drill down, we can get, if it is a retail industry, we can get it like store wise revenue and so on. So hierarchies can be created in multiple ways so that we can analyze the data based on the business needs. Then further we have filtering and grouping of the data. So dimensions are commonly used for filtering and grouping data. So if dimension won't be there, then we will just know that what is the total revenue. But if we have a dimension, for example, fiscal year period, then we can filter a particular period, for example, February 2024, and we will be analyzing all aspects of the data for only that particular period. So similarly, other dimensions can also be used for filtering or grouping of the data. Users can apply filters based on dimension values to focus on specific subsets of the data. They can also group based on a dimension attributes to perform aggregations and comparisons. Then we have visualizing data. Dimension plays a crucial role in data visualization. Visualizations such as charts, graphs, and dashboards often utilize dimensions to represent different axes or categories, making it easier for user to interpret and understand the data. So even if you are creating an chart in Excel or PowerPoint, you might need couple of dimensions to build your chart. Otherwise it will be like kind of a only measure, so you don't have any information about the category of the data. Okay, so for that categorization we need a dimension. So that is how we use in any visualization tool as well. Then integration with analytical tool. Dimensions may be integrated with analytical tool within SAP Datasphere's Business Builder to facilitate interactive analysis and reporting. Users can leverage dimensions to create custom reports, dashboards, and visualization tailored to their specific business needs. So these are a couple of points I wanted to highlight about the dimensions. And now we will move to the demo session. So and we'll see that how we can create a dimension in Business Builder. So these will be the tabs when we will be opening the dimension editor. So we'll get a general tab, measures, attributes, input parameters, key definitions, hierarchies, associations, and authorization scenarios. So these will be 8 tabs that we will be getting while creating our dimension, and we'll see that how we need to configure all those informations. Okay, so let's move to the demonstration. Okay, so now we are at the business builder screen, and here we have uh, dimension, fact model, consumption model, and authorization scenario. So in this session we are dealing with dimension. Either we can create from all files, or we can create from here as well, or maybe we can go to the business entity and we can create from here as well. So 3 ways to create a dimension. So we'll click on new dimension, and here you need to select your data entity. So data entity will be coming from your data builder. Okay, so let's suppose if I want to create a dimension for business partner, I will select the business partner as my source. So you need to select this, and here if you want to change the name you can do that as well. Okay, if you want to give different name, so these both are editable. If you want to give different name, then you can change it, but by default it takes the name from the data builder, and it has a prefix of business entity be underscore. Okay, I will not do any changes. I will click on create now. Okay, so now we'll get an option like, do you want to copy the property of the data entity? So you can so our data entity will have key definition, will also have the attributes. If you simply want to copy everything as is, you can check this boxes. Okay, but because we are doing demo, I will not select that option, and we'll configure it manually one by one. Okay, so we'll click on create. So we'll discuss about each section one by one in very detailed manner. And if you have any concerns or questions, you can put in the comment section, and I'll try to answer those questions. Okay, so this is the first tab, which is the name of the business entity, which is the dimension, and this is the source. It is changeable. So let's suppose if in future you want to change it to another table with similar structure, you can change that. Then either you want to allow this for public data access or not. This is the checkbox that you have. So this is a demo, so I will click on allow public data access. Otherwise you can also create authorization scenarios. And the version is initial, and you can see the version name by default it is coming as the business entity name underscore v1. That is version 1. Okay, let's move to measure part. Here you also have an option to convert this to dimension, from dimension to fact. Okay, so measure is something because we are building a dimension. It is good to have and can be used in some exceptional cases. For example, there might be some master data which also contains some measurable information like quantity or price. If it's a product related master data, so each product has its MRP, right? So maybe in the master data itself we can store that MRP information. So in that case, the master data has a measure. But in majority of the cases, the dimension will not have any measures, as we know that measures are basically used in the fact. So in the dimension, majority of the cases, this will be no measure. But in some cases, it can also have measures which contains quantitative or like for which we can perform aggregation, such kind of information it contain. So in this case I will keep it as 0. So nothing selected, but here you can see how you can select measure. So if your source is containing measure, you can click on it, and based on the data type it will provide you the measure. So because these are of type int in my data builder, so that is why these are coming up as a measure, but actually these are not measures. This is as a address ID, this is change by create by, partner role, and phone number. So this is nothing where I need to do any kind of aggregation or measurable thing is this. So this is, none of this is a measurable object. So I will click on cancel. But this is how, if your source is having some measure, you can add it from this add source measure. Or you can also create a measure, you can also derive. So for example, if your source is having measure but that is not exactly what you want, so if your source is having multiple measure and you want to write some formula to create your final measure, so in that case you can click on plus icon here to add a measure, and you can name that measure as for example price. Okay, and can give the technical name. So you can give any name based on your needs. Okay, and then you have an option of the measure type. Either it's a fixed value, if you want to give a fixed value, you can give an aggregation type, and then you can select a measure. Like you can select a measure and what kind of aggregation you want to do. So for example, you already have a measure, and you want to have the maximum value of that measure, then you can use the aggregation as maximum, minimum, average. So this is similar kind of information that we can also do while we are creating measures in the data builder sessions. So all those features are here, like calculated measure is there. So once you go to calculated measure, you will get this formula screen where you can put all the formulas and functions. Okay, and similarly then you have fixed value, we already discussed, and converted currency. So you can also perform like currency conversion. So you can select the source measure. So in the source, we don't have any measure, that is why it is not appearing. So once you will have any measure in your source, then it will appear over here, and you can provide the client ID for the currency conversion, and then you can select the reference date based on your needs. Okay, so these four types are there. And then if you scroll down, there is an exception aggregation as well. So exception aggregation, that if you have worked on analytical part, you know that the exception aggregation is also helpful in some of the scenarios where you want to perform like minimum, maximum, or average null zeros, or average null. So this will including null, this will null and zeros will not be included in this. So these kind of exceptions can't be performed using a formula. So that is why there is a function provided in this tool to perform this exception aggregation. Okay, and then you have an option like replace null with zeros, auxiliary measures setting. So this is all about how we can create a measure. So let's cancel this because we are not going to create in this session. We don't have any measures specific for this one, but maybe when we will be creating fact, we will be creating some measures. Okay, now move to the attribute part. So the most important part before moving to attribute, what I will do, I will check this message, and this says key definition warning in key definition. That means uh, at least one key is mandatory to save your dimension. So I will first go to the key definition. Okay, and within key definition, so here you can see a dimension without keys cannot be used as a target in an association. We recommend defining one or more keys. So it is recommended to have a key in your dimension. So I will click on plus option over here. Okay, and here you can define your key. So address ID is, sorry, this is not address ID. Okay, partner ID is the key, right? So partner ID is my key. Let me verify it. Okay, so let's verify it. It will take some time to verify the data. Yeah, so valid key configuration, all values are unique. Okay, so there will be cases when we have a compounding key, that is multiple keys for a particular master data. In those cases, when we will select only one key, then it will show an error that there are duplicate records. But because in this case where partner ID is the only key, that is why all values are unique, which is perfectly fine now. So we will save it. Okay, and now yeah, so once the key definition is done, so this part is done, we will move back to the attribute part. So maybe our data builder object might be having multiple attributes, or maybe might be having more attributes than what is needed for this business analysis purpose. So in that case we can simply select the required attributes from this button. Okay, so let's suppose we want address ID, we don't want uh, changed date, changed by, we need company name, we don't need created create date, create by, we need currency, for example, email address, fax number, uh, partner id is already there. So we can skip it as well, but if you want you can select it as well. Then we have partner role, phone number, web address. So like this we can select whatever attribute is needed and click on apply. So by doing this, our attributes are selected like this. Here we can see the business name, technical name, identifier attribute, and the source attribute. Okay, and if needed, we can remove it using this cross option. Then we have input parameter. Let's go to the input parameter. Okay, so input parameter is something. Let's suppose if you are using a view as your source for this dimension, and that view is having an input parameter, then that input parameter will be um, available over here, and then you need to pass a value to that input parameter. Maybe I will have the summary session at the end of the business builder, where I will cover all these parts which is not included in this session. Okay, but to keep it simple, let's move to the next one. So key definition we have already discussed. Then we'll move to hierarchy. So hierarchy is basically, if you already have a hierarchy defined, then you can simply add it. So one thing is, like with the current version of SAP Datasphere, when we map our um, a data builder to a business builder dimension, all the properties are available, like keys are available, attributes are available, but hierarchies and associations are yet not available, and you need to map it manually. Because when I just click on create, it asks for, like, do you want to copy the properties, like all the properties, so attribute, keys. If you click that, then everything will be copied, but there was no option for, do you want to copy the associations or copy the hierarchies. That means it is not yet included, but maybe in future release we will have that option. So in this hierarchy option, either you can search, if you have multiple hierarchies, this is for that search. If you add like 10 15 hierarchies, and you want to open one hierarchy, you don't want to go by name, you can search from here and then go to that hierarchy. Or if you want to create a new hierarchy, so we will not be creating a hierarchy here, but we will be just defining like which data entity we want to use. So external data source hierarchy, so here you can give this hierarchy configuration is invalid. So here you need that hierarchy entity, so we don't have it as of now, so that is why we are not able to get anything. But I will cover that in the hierarchy second session, like how we can define all types of hierarchies for a dimension uh, in a data builder. Okay, and here you can have a child parent relationship as well. Okay, so for partner ID we don't have any hierarchy, I guess, so that is the reason it is not coming up. So let's cancel this. We'll move to association part. Okay, so it's a bit slow. Yeah, so now we are at the association tab. So association is, as I said, it is not automatically copied, even if your table or a view that you have used uh, is having that association, so you need to do it manually for the current version. So you need to click on plus to perform an association, and then you need to go to the target business entity. So target entity is like which you want to associate. So let's see what are the business entity available. So currently we have only two dimensions created, so this is already like we are working in the business partner. And let's suppose I want to associate address with it, so I will select the address, click on apply, and then address id is the key member, and in the foreign key I will select the address id. Okay, so address id, so this is matched, so this is the key for association. So validation is in progress, so let's wait. So 100% validated, and here you can give your name as per your need. So let's suppose context name, address. Okay, and here you can give the description of this association, and then you can save it. So once you save it, you will be able to see the association. Okay, so here you can see address is associated. Similarly, if your dimension table is having more information, so mostly we do associations with the fact table, because a fact, when we will be creating fact, but maybe we can also create association with the dimensions if needed. So this is how we can do association with the dimension. And then we can move to the authorization scenario. So for authorization scenario, we need to first configure the authorization role, then only we can use the authorization scenario. Otherwise, if I click on this, so how you can select your authorization scenario is, you create multiple uh, authorization scenarios, and then here you can select that. So here you can't create that, but you need to select that. So here I will not get anything because I have not created anything. Maybe I don't have access to create as well in the uh, trial account. So here there is no role creation access. Okay. So but once you will define those roles, so how you can define those roles? So you can create for example a table where you have those specific information. So for example, you have a partner id and you have a specific user who is dealing with that partner id or maybe vendor. So a particular business user will be able to view only those partner id whom he is expected to. So those kind of mappings you can create in a table, a relational table in a data builder, and then you can use that table in your authorization scenario, and then you can come to this screen and you can you select that authorization scenario for this dimension. So that is how it works. So I will try to cover that in the data access part, but this is how you can select it for redemption. So we have discussed all the 8 tabs, like what are all those 8 tabs in a dimension creation or dimension editor. Okay, let's wait. Okay, so business partner is saved and partner id is added here. We will move to the data preview part. Okay, so now we are at the data preview, and here we have the address ID and the company name. We can also add the partner ID by dragging it like this. Okay, so partner ID will be added like this. If we don't need address ID, we can click on these 3 dots and we can remove it from the perspective. Okay, so now we can see we have the partner ID, the company name. Even if we, and here we have the association fields available because we have associated address dimension with this. Then we have all the address related information. For example, if we want to add city in our perspective, we can add it like this. So similarly, when we click on this option, we see couple of options. So either we can remove it from the output, we can remove it from the perspective, and we can sort it like in ascending or descending order. We can filter this field, or we can open this field. Okay, or we can also like arrange down or last first. So we can rearrange the fields as well. So here now here we have an option. Okay, so if we use that option, here are the checkbox. So we can perform the click those checkbox to perform multiple operation in one go. Okay, so we can select this currency, click OK, and in one go we can add multiple fields like this. So this is for quick change in the data perspective. Then we have a refresh option. If we put any filter and if we want to refresh the data, if the session was open since some time, then we have a settings where we can have a refresh mode, either automatic or we can also put manual, so that when we put manual, refresh will not happen automatically and we can perform all the actions and then click on refresh button to refresh the page. And we have the row limit. We can increase this row limit if needed based on our needs. We have the attribute display, whether it will be displayed at text, id, or text ID both. Then we have SQL display the SQL which was executed to retrieve the current data. So this will show you the SQL. So if you click on this, so you will be able to see this SQL query. Okay, so let's close this. Then we have a filter option. So there are two types of filters, simple and advanced. So in the simple filter you can put the filter like we do for any kind of, but in advanced one you can give conditions as well. Okay, you can add elements. So here are multiple elements, so you can use these operations and or for the advanced filter. For the simple filter you can put any value for a particular dimension. Okay, so this is all about dimensions in business builder. You can save it as a consumption model as well. If this is, because this is a dimension, it doesn't make much sense to save it as a consumption model. But because consumption model serves different purposes, even if you don't have any measures, but maybe you want to use it in your visualization tool, this data, then you can save it directly as a consumption model from here. Or you can have multiple dimensions and fact, and then you can use a combination of those in as a consumption model. Okay, so this is all about dimensions in business builder. Hope you like the content. If yes, please hit the subscribe button. Please provide your comments in case if you have any questions or concerns. We will discuss about fact in the next session. Till then, stay tuned. Have a nice day. Bye bye.